What if I told you that every woman longs for one thing in a man, but few men ever master it, and even fewer realize how powerful it truly is? It's not charm, not status, not even looks. The rare art that women crave in silence, the art of emotional stillness, the ability to remain centered, unshaken, and deeply grounded, even when she tests you, pulls away, or tries to provoke a reaction. Stoicism teaches that true power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from refusing to let anyone control your inner world. And in a world full of reactive men, the man who masters stillness becomes unforgettable. Right now, you might think you need to say the right words, send the right texts, or prove your worth. But what women truly long for is a man who doesn't flinch, who leads with calm clarity, not emotional chaos. If you're ready to become the man whose presence speaks louder than words, like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment. I move with calm, not chaos. Number 1. The flame behind the silence, where real love begins. What if the deepest desire of a woman's heart is not your attention, not your charm, and not even your success, but your ability to remain calm in chaos? What if her attraction isn't triggered by your pursuit, but by your presence? There's a fire burning quietly in every man's chest, not the fire of desire or conquest, but the flame of emotional clarity, a heat that doesn't consume but illuminates. And when a woman senses that fire, steady, warm, and unshaken, something in her softens. She feels safe, seen, pulled in, not by performance, but by your stillness. In a world that teaches men to chase, to prove, and to overwhelm with effort, the rarest kind of power is the one that doesn't need to speak loudly. It's the power of emotional mastery, the invisible magnet that pulls the right kind of love closer without ever asking for it. Most men don't realize this. They're waiting to be chosen, to be validated, to be wanted, and in doing so, they forget how to become. This piece is not about tricks. It's not about tactics. It's about truth, a truth that Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius lived by. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Love is not something that arrives because you wait long enough. It comes to the man who builds something sacred within himself, a structure that love can rest in. Think of a mountain. It does not chase the clouds. It does not compete with the sky. Yet birds return to it, storms bow around it, and valleys form in its shadow. Why? Because it is still, unmoving, anchored in the truth of itself. In the same way, a man who has mastered his emotions does not attract by proving he's lovable. He attracts by proving he is whole, that he can hold space, not just for a woman, but for his own storms. He becomes the sanctuary that love has been looking for, not the wanderer chasing its echo. So, what is this flame we're about to explore? It's not anger. It's not withdrawal. It's a kind of disciplined inner peace, forged through awareness, choice, and healing. It's the ability to stand still when others flinch, to listen when the world screams, to respond without ego when your pride is provoked. This video will show you how emotional mastery isn't a side skill. It's the very foundation of love, not the needy kind, not the performative kind, but the kind that transforms both of you, the kind that begins with you, alone, clear, and ready. Because once you lead yourself, you'll never need to chase again. Are you ready to stop waiting and start becoming now? Comment below, I lead myself, and love follows. Let your journey begin with that fire. Number 2, why she doesn't trust love yet and what that says about you. Imagine this, a woman smiles at you, but her eyes hesitate. She leans in during conversation, laughs a second too long, then withdraws like a tide pulling back to test the shoreline. You wonder what you did wrong. But this isn't about you. It's about her inner war, a silent battlefield where past pain and present desire collide. And it's where most men lose patience. A woman's heart is not a light switch. It is a landscape, unpredictable, storm-worn, layered with memory and meaning. When she begins to care and truly care, the first emotion that often arises is not joy. It's fear, not because you're wrong for her, but because you might finally be right. This is why the most powerful men don't push for love. They read the signs in silence. They understand that inconsistent emotion, sudden coldness, or subtle withdrawal are not rejection. They are the soul's test. Can you hold space for my shadow as much as my light? To her, love is not a gentle descent. It's a leap across uncertainty. And in that moment before she leaps, she searches your eyes not for answers, but for anchoring. Do you flinch? Do you chase? Do you vanish when she hesitates? Because if you do, it confirms her deepest fear. I was right not to trust this. But if you remain steady, if you remain you become something rare. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Most women have learned, sometimes painfully, that emotion makes them vulnerable, and vulnerability has cost them. They've been judged for needing too much, mocked for caring too deeply, so they build a fortress of independence and call it empowerment, while secretly longing for someone strong enough to see through the walls without breaking them. This is where emotional mastery separates boys from men. A reactive man takes it personally. He demands answers, explanations, reassurance. A mastered man sees the pattern, the retreat, the fragility, and instead of rushing to fix it, he anchors in stillness. He doesn't offer solutions, he offers presence. Women don't need you to be perfect. They need to feel that your emotions aren't dictated by theirs, that if they cry, break, or retreat, you don't collapse, you remain. That's what makes her trust you with the parts she hides from the world. Think of it like this. She's a violin, complex, beautiful, full of range, but only in the hands of someone patient does she reveal her music. Most try to rush the melody. Few learn how to listen. Emotionally grounded men don't guess what she feels. They study it, not with calculation but compassion. They don't interrupt her storms. They become the sky that holds them. They know that when a woman's emotions are too much, what she's really asking is, will you abandon me when I'm not easy to love? And the answer cannot be a speech. It must be a state, an energy. Your stillness must speak what words cannot. This is the root of true attraction, not manipulation, not performance, but perception. A deep awareness that behind every emotional push-pull is a longing for safety, and behind every test is a soul asking, are you sure I'm worth this? Jung said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. That transformation cannot happen without fire, and fire, uncontrolled, destroys. But when contained, when mastered, it forges connection. So let her emotion rise. Let her edge closer, then pull away. Smile gently when she tests you. Respond with clarity, not confusion. Watch and learn and remain. She isn't playing hard to get. She's asking if your heart is a house or a tent, if it can weather the storm or collapse at the first gust. When you master your emotions, you send a message she can feel in her bones. I am here. I am not afraid. I will not flinch. And in that, she finds permission to soften. Now, speak out and comment below. I hold steady when others pull away. Let your stillness be the proof she didn't know she was waiting for. Number 3. What she really wants isn't what you think. Breaking the illusion of attraction. Most men grow up believing a lie so seductive. They don't realize it's sabotaging every relationship they enter. That lie, if I'm nice enough, successful enough, romantic enough, she'll choose me. But this myth, repeated in love songs, rom-coms, and well-meaning advice, is a trap, not just for your heart, but for your identity. Let's be clear, women don't fall for your efforts. They fall for your essence. They may appreciate your gestures, admire your work ethic, even enjoy your compliments. But none of that touches the part of her that aches to be moved by your presence. What attracts her is not your resume, not your car, not your poems. It's your rootedness. The man who has mastered his inner world radiates a frequency beyond logic. It's not about what he says or gives. It's about how she feels in his presence. The myth says, make her happy, and she'll stay. The truth is, make yourself whole, and she won't want to leave. This is why emotional neediness repels even the kindest woman. She doesn't want to mother a man's brokenness. She wants to join a man's wholeness. When you believe love is something you must earn or beg for, you unconsciously say, you complete me. And while that might sound romantic, to her subconscious, it's a burden. Carl Jung warned that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. And this is what most men do in love. They hand over responsibility for their worth to someone else, then call it connection. But that's not love. That's outsourcing your self-esteem. The reality is, love that must constantly be fed with reassurance, validation, and praise is not love. It's survival. And women can smell survival from miles away. They might entertain it, pity it, even try to heal it, but they won't trust it. And trust is the soul of attraction. Here's the real paradox. The less you need someone to choose you, the more attractive you become. Not because you're distant or aloof, but because you exude a quiet confidence that says, I choose myself first. You're welcome to walk beside me. That subtle shift in energy rewires how women perceive you. Suddenly, you're not chasing, you're leading. You're not pleasing, you're inviting. Let's go deeper. When a woman tests your boundaries, withdraws emotionally, or questions your intentions, she's not just testing your interest, she's testing your core. Can you hold your frame under emotional tension? Can you respect her distance without collapsing into insecurity? Can you love her without needing her to fill your void? If you can, you become rare. You become safe, not because you're passive, but because you're sovereign. Most men misunderstand female tests. They think they're being pushed away when they're really being invited to rise. A woman who feels something real with you will poke at your emotional balance, not to harm you, but to see if you're built for depth. If you break, she withdraws. If you rise, she opens. This isn't manipulation, it's intuition. Women sense whether you're emotionally employed, whether you can show up in moments of confusion, miscommunication, and fear without becoming the storm yourself. That's the kind of man she can love in peace, not because he's perfect, but because he's consistent. So, what's the myth you must break? It's that attraction is created by doing the truth. Attraction is sustained by being centered, being calm, being a man who doesn't beg, force, or perform, but simply exists in clarity. A man who says yes when he means yes, no when he means no, and never sells his soul for temporary affection. In the Stoic tradition, this is self-governance. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Nowhere is this more important than in love, because the man who cannot govern his own emotional response will always be governed by the emotions of others, and no woman can trust that." Women don't need you to be invincible. They need you to be anchored. They need to feel your decisions aren't swayed by mood or desperation, but by values and vision. So when the myth says, "Give her everything, and she'll stay," you say, "I will give only what's true, and she's free to walk away." That's not arrogance, that's dignity. And dignity, not desperation, is what makes you unforgettable. Now, speak out and comment below. I don't chase love, I become it. That's the quiet power of a man who's no longer trapped by illusion. Number 4, the practice of presence. Tools to become the man she feels safe with. So, how do you move from theory to transformation? How do you become the man who no longer chases love, but attracts it through his silence, presence, and purpose? Let's begin with this. Emotional mastery isn't a destination, it's a discipline, a muscle, and like all muscles, it grows through consistent resistance. The moments when you feel anxious, uncertain, or triggered aren't signs of failure. They are invitations to lead yourself first, and that's the art that changes everything. Here are the core practices that forge emotional gravity, the invisible force that draws others in without needing to grasp. 1. Anchor yourself daily, the ritual of internal stillness. Start every morning not with a scroll, but with a pause. The Stoics meditated on mortality. You can meditate on intention. Spend 10 minutes in complete stillness, breathing deeply, asking, what kind of man do I want to be today? Not what do I want to achieve, but who do I want to become? This creates what Carl Jung called inner alignment. When your conscious actions match your unconscious desires, women feel this congruence. It creates safety and trust and curiosity. 2. Practice the sacred pause. Emotional reactivity destroys attraction. Why? Because it signals a lack of self-command. So whenever you feel triggered by her silence, a delay in response, or perceived disrespect, insert the sacred pause. 3 seconds. 1 breath. Ask yourself, am I reacting from fear or responding from strength? The man who pauses rewires his nervous system. He replaces urgency with gravity, and in doing so, he becomes a calming force instead of a volatile storm. Remember, the feminine opens in the presence of a stable masculine energy, not a man who suppresses emotions, but one who contains them. 3. Speak less, signal more. Verbal persuasion is weak when your energy contradicts your words. Instead of explaining yourself or oversharing your feelings too soon, let your actions signal clarity, boundaries, standards, direction. If she cancels plans last minute without apology, you don't yell, you become less available. If someone disrespects your time, you don't complain, you remove yourself silently. The world respects those who don't announce their worth, but quietly enforce it. This is the show. Don't tell principle of attraction. It builds the kind of masculine mystery that isn't manipulative, but magnetic. 4. Rewrite your inner dialogue. Your emotional patterns stem not from external events, but from internal narratives. So begin catching the subtle thoughts that govern your behavior. When she doesn't reply, do you think, I'm being rejected? When she seems distant, do you assume she's losing interest? Replace these assumptions with empowered truths. I don't chase, I align. If something fades, it wasn't for me. My value isn't defined by response, but by integrity. This internal script becomes your emotional compass. It turns uncertainty into an opportunity to return to yourself, not run from yourself. 5. Develop a purpose beyond her. This is the ultimate masculine attractor. Direction, not ambition for approval, but purpose as embodiment. When you live from a deep why, whether it's building a business, mastering a skill, mentoring others, your energy becomes focused and unshakable. A man with purpose doesn't lose himself in romance. He deepens within it. He leads the relationship not with dominance, but with clarity. She follows not because he demands, but because he knows where he's going. Jung taught that individuation, becoming who you truly are, is the greatest journey of the psyche, and no romantic love can replace it. In fact, the more you walk that path, the more love meets you along the way. 6. Protect your energy like a fortress. The emotionally masterful man guards his peace with the same vigilance a warrior guards his homeland. He doesn't gossip, overshare, or seek validation in social media comments. He surrounds himself with people who challenge him to rise, not people who reward his stagnation. He doesn't text to feel connected. He initiates conversations with intent. He doesn't stay in relationships that drain his spirit. He walks away without resentment, not to punish, but to protect. This energy of calm detachment makes a woman lean in, not because you're unavailable, but because your availability now feels earned, not assumed. 7. Transform silence into presence. When you sit with a woman, Don't rush to fill the silence. Let it breathe. Look at her. Let her speak without interruption. Observe how she feels, not just what she says. This silent attention builds more intimacy than words ever could. It says, I see you, not just your beauty, but your being. And when you bring that depth, your presence becomes unforgettable. These are not tactics. They are tools of transformation. They don't make her fall in love. They make you lovable. And when you become lovable without needing love, something remarkable happens. The world meets you at your frequency, not your fear. That's when women stop walking past you. They feel you, even in silence. That's when conversations shift, relationships deepen, and love no longer feels like a lottery, but a reflection of the man you've become. Now, speak out and comment below. I lead my emotions. They don't lead me, because the man who commands his inner world is already irresistible. Number 5. Becoming the man love was waiting for. The final shift. So many men wander through life believing that love is something to be found, chased, or earned, as if it lies outside of them, hiding in someone else's approval. But the deepest truth is this: love doesn't arrive when you beg for it. It arrives when you become the man who doesn't need it to feel complete. Let's be clear. This is not about becoming cold or emotionally distant. It's about becoming so full within yourself that love is no longer something you lack, but something you radiate. And in that radiance, the right woman, the one capable of meeting you at your level of depth and stability, feels the difference. You've seen men try everything. Some chase with gifts and gestures, others with charm and charisma. But none of it lasts when it's driven by emptiness. What lasts is presence, integrity, and the silent energy of a man who has met himself in solitude, healed his wounds, and no longer needs someone else to complete him. That's what love recognizes. Love isn't impressed by performance. It's magnetized by depth. And the woman who is truly ready, not for a fling, but for a sacred partnership, is not looking for someone who will impress her. She's searching for someone who will hold space for her heart, someone who doesn't collapse under pressure, someone whose energy gives her permission to relax into her feminine, not because he dominates her, but because he is anchored in himself. When you stop seeking to be chosen and choose yourself instead, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak less, but say more. You listen with your whole body, and your presence, calm, grounded, unshakable, becomes a mirror that makes others pause, reflect, and feel safe. Love no longer feels like luck. It feels like alignment. So if you're reading this, wondering when love will arrive, stop looking outward. Look inward. Are you ready? Have you cultivated the discipline, emotional clarity, and self-trust to hold space for something sacred, not something temporary? Because real love won't fix you. It will reveal you. And if you're not prepared, it will overwhelm you, not elevate you. You don't attract love through chasing. You attract it by becoming the man who no longer seeks completion, because he is complete. This man doesn't ask, "When will love find me?" He declares, "I will become the man love was always waiting for." And when you live like that, with purpose, with presence, with emotional mastery, love doesn't just show up, it stays. Because now, you're not a question mark, you're the answer. Now, comment below, "I choose to become the man love is waiting for." Because once you choose yourself fully, the world and love begins to follow. You came here searching for what makes a man irresistible. Now, you know, it's not loudness that pulls her in. It's the energy of a man who doesn't need to chase, convince, or react. When you master stillness, she leans in because you don't lean out of desperation. She feels safe, not because you say the right things, but because you say less with deeper presence. She respects you because you never lose yourself in her moods or silence. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Stillness is the mirror that reflects your true strength, and it awakens a woman's deepest instinct to trust, follow, and open up. If you're ready to stop chasing and start leading from within, like this video, subscribe, and comment. I lead through stillness because I trust my energy. Stay present, stay silent, because the man she truly longs for is the one who never needs to raise his voice to be felt.